Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name is Matt Stryker, and I am incredibly excited because this is a special show. It says so much about this network, but moreover about this man. Joining me this morning is the one and only George Kurtz. The reason I believe George is so special is because he has over 3 decades of experience playing fantasy sports, wagering, just as a sports enthusiast, to be able to sit and talk to someone that has so much experience, so much insight. This is such a valuable show. Quick reminder to everyone, at SportsGrid TV. Those are our social media handles. Do yourself a favor. Check if you're following along, especially after this one. George, my friend, come on in. FST on a Sunday, and we have the man. Hello.
How we doing, right? Good morning, everybody. Sunday for you, the little end of our fantasy week here. And listen, we're all big into fantasy baseball, Matt. And, the Lord knows I love my fantasy baseball. But I did also finish a dynasty fantasy football draft this week. It took about a month, slow draft here, but it's finally over. And I got to tell you, Matt, I'm very happy that it is.
Well, with that setup, just a quick little, give me 10, 20 seconds. How did that draft turn out? Who did you get? And what are you looking forward to?
The Dynasty League, it's with the people from SiriusXM back. This league has been around, 20 years, something like that. They did rejigger it a little bit because some people dropped out. It used to be 32 teams. It's with some personalities that names that you know. Jeff Mans is in it, Ray Flowers, guys like that. So it's a good league. It's a sort of a Jim Day Memorial League for those who remember Jim Day, who passed a few years ago. He was the original commissioner of this league here. First round, I had the 9th overall pick. Was very happy that Bijan Robinson fell to be at number 9. Okay. Ended up with Christian McCaffrey, too, I think, in round 3. Guys like that fell. Puka Nacua was on my team. Joe Burrow was also on my team there. So good start. We'll see how it is. Like I said, it is a dynasty league here. Like I said, it was rejiggered to start again, even though it's been around for 20 years.
All right, I love it. From football, we go into baseball. And what we're going to do here on this show is it's going to be a lot of, hey, George, and your experience, and hey, George, how do we monetize this? That's always my goal, folks. My goal is always to build the bankroll. As a baseball bettor, I know how hard it can be, so let's jump into it. All right, alliteration aside, we start with Corbin Burns, baseball bettor Burns. Here we go. Right elbow inflammation becomes Tommy John surgery for Corbin Burns, George. After 11 starts, he had a sub-3 ERA, and he had a nearly 33-13 walk-to-strikeout ratio across 64 and a third innings pitched for the Diamondbacks. Ryan Nelson will probably take his spot. What does this mean for the Diamondbacks in your experience, and how can we make money off of this?
Well, good luck making money off it. Listen, what does it mean for the Diamondbacks? It means this is the last time you've seen Corbin Burns for a long, long time. He's done this year. I mean, you're talking June 8th. Maybe he can come back August, September next year. It's a maybe here. And then, I don't know what's going to happen in 2027 with the new CBA, but we're certainly not going to see a full baseball season that year. So it's going to be a long time. It's going to be 2 full years, calendar years, not baseball years, before we even see Corbin Burns on the mound again here. So brutal for them, right? It's a big free agent signing for them. They took him away from Baltimore there, and he's gone. This is why so many baseball teams or so many general managers do not want to hand out long-term contracts to pitchers, because it's like TJ is just around the corner at any time. When we heard that Burns felt the pop in his elbow, you sort of knew it. Like, oh, God, it's dread. You're just waiting for it. And it took long. It was almost a tease because it took so long to find out the exact diagnosis here. They're going to try Ryan Nelson in his place here. And if you went out and grabbed him, well, that sucked yesterday, right? Because he got beat up in that game versus Cincinnati, and you ate it there. Will they spend money? I don't know. They're falling out of it somewhat. They played okay this week, but they made a 50-50 team for a while here. They could choose to deal at the deadline and trade a Zach Gallen. Someone like that who's a free agent at the end of the year who's going to want big money, even though, once again, other than that Cy Young year, he hasn't pitched all that well. Diamondbacks are really a team to watch now between, June 8th here and the trade deadline on, I'm going to assume it's July 31st, but Manfred may have played with that again.
All right. And I guess the lesson here overall is maybe it's time to start streaming pitchers and not spending so much draft capital on some of these names, because one pop and now you're scrambling. Let's continue the pitcher talk and talk about some woes. It's Jesus Luzardo's turn to have a conversation. 16 earned runs across his first 11 starts, but now 20 earned runs in his last 2. I mean, it's a loss of command. He's pitching to a 4.6 ERA. Strikeout to walk ratio is there. He has the Cubs up next. What do you make of this Luzardo faltering so far?
Well, I can tell you, I'm definitely not starting him against the Cubs. All right. What you're hoping for is that, hey, everybody goes through it, right? A little dead time during the season. Maybe it's a dead arm period here. It's a little late for that June 8th, but it could be a dead arm. So you just have, got to fight through it here. No reason to start him against the Cubs. All right. Cubs are a very good offense, one of the best in baseball here. Even though he's not going to, I don't think he's going to give 10 runs again, but I'm not going to wait around for it either. All right. So I'll set him, find somebody else here, and we'll go at him after that. Although I think his next start might be against the Blue Jays after that. I'm not thrilled about that either. Like I said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to be a little patient here and find somebody else. Listen, I don't need to be hit in the head 3 times. You hit me once? All right. Hit me twice. I'm awake here. All right. I'm not going to go for a 3rd time here. I'll find somebody else here. We'll see if he can figure it out. But I'm not panicking here. What are you going to do? You can't trade him now. You're going to be trading low. All right. So you're going to have to wait this out, see what happens here. One thing about Luzardo's history is he gets hurt. Are we dealing with an injury here that we don't know about yet? That would be my biggest worry.
Yep, great point. And that comes from the decades of experience talking to George Kurtz here on FST. All right, George, I got to tell you, maybe I'm becoming sentimental in my old age, but I cry a lot. I love the videos of when soldiers come home and they surprise their spouse or their kid in school. That gets me. And the second thing that gets me is when a kid gets the call. You see these videos now of a young ball player being told they're getting called up, and then they go and they call their dad or their mom in the hallway. I'm going to choke up right now. Kyle Teal, one of those guys for the White Sox. Now, before we poo-poo that offensive ecosystem, as our friend Joe Pisapia likes to say, he is a catcher. He's hitting in the 5th, 6th, maybe come somewhere near the middle of this lineup. Your thoughts on Kyle Teal and some of these young kids coming up?
You need to be careful with the young kids coming up, all right? My namesake came up a month ago, whatever it was. He was okay, Nick Kurtz, right? Mm-hmm. He just started to figure out it then he got hurt. All right, now who's the big guy this week? Caglione, right? Yeah. He got called up. Everybody's running to go grab him. He's been kind of quiet. He's still hitting the ball hard. He's maybe not getting the breaks yet here. So, and those are guys that are playing at positions first base where it's a little shallow here. Catcher is not as shallow as you think, right? Raleigh may be the MVP this year. We've got the Contreras guys, Will Smith. Langoliers was good. You still got Realmuto, Salvador Perez, Reutemann, who was a heavy pick here. What I'm trying to say is catcher is not the desolate wasteland it once was. you're probably not going to roster. I hope you're not starting two catchers. I hate leagues where two catchers start hating. All right, it drives me insane here. But assuming you're not here, what catcher? You're not going to roster two catchers, right? We don't want to do that. That's a waste of a spot here. Who are you going to drop here? Alvarez for Teal? Okay, maybe. I can sort of see that. If you had Heim, all right, maybe. Other than that, you're not dropping Will Smith. I mean, maybe Austin Wells with a big night last night. Maybe, but I'd be very careful here. Where I don't mind going out and getting Kurtz. I don't mind going out and getting Jack Caglione. I don't mind that. Going out and get Teal, I'm probably going to, rain. Whoa, on the ratings here. I'm probably not going to go bananas for Teal here. I'm certainly not going to take up my top waiver wire claim, depending on what kind of system you play in. I'm not going to waste all my fab budget. So I want to be very careful with Teal here. Even though I do like the player, I just don't know if I'm going to like him over the catcher I currently have.
All right. I like that. And I like what you've brought in here because this is going to be the theme of this show is that experience. And I understand that with age comes wisdom, and we're going to have that. Just one last note. Shane Bieber was shut down in rehab for the Guardians, so the soreness will push him back most likely to August. I personally like the Guardian staff of Williams, Bybee, Ortiz, Ciccone, and Logan Webb. Logan Webb, they wish. Logan Allen. And I do believe that they are wagerable as well. George and I are going to come back on the other side, and we are going to be looking at the injury report, specifically how we can take advantage, who we can pick up, where we can angle ourselves. That's what FST is going to be all about here. We thank you so much for sticking with us. We'll be right back after this. More FST with Matt and George.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker with you here, and very excited to have a 3-decade veteran of fantasy sports and wagering to sit alongside us, the one and only George Kurtz. And what I love about sitting down with you, George, is that I get insight, I get wisdom, And I get a little saltiness, which I'm a big fan of. I've been an Andrew Dice Clay kind of guy for when I was a kid. Not that you'll do that here on this show, but during the breaks, boy, oh boy. It's time for the injury report. And I set this up because, full disclosure, George, as I understand it, you are an ardent Yankee fan. And the news of Luke Weaver out 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring issue returns Devin Williams back to the closer position, or so we assume. George, your thoughts on this? And, George, how can we make money off of this?
Well, first, Andrew Dice Clay, definitely seen him in concert a few times back in the day.
Yeah, that's great.
People don't really, he was an actor first. He was in Crime Story. The old TV show Crime Story there, where he played a mobster. So go Andrew Clay, go. I'm probably a bigger fan of Sam Kinison. George Carlin will be my favorite comedian of all time here. So there you go. There's a little comedy for you. Yankees, Luke Weaver, yes, got hurt the hamstring warming up for the possible safe situation last Sunday night in Los Angeles. So he's gone. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks. So let's say he already looks pretty good here. So maybe we're looking more closer to 4 than 6 for what it's worth here. Right. Now, maybe you had Devin Williams on your roster anyway, because remember, Williams was the closer coming into the season. Then he sucked. Let's face it, he sucked. He was terrible. All right, so Weaver took the role back over here. Williams was pitching well in anything but a closer role. It was weird. 8th inning, fine. 7th inning, good. 9th inning, terrible. But he's been okay this week when the Yankees have needed a closer, so maybe he's figured it out there, the airbender. So listen, Williams is not out there, so what are you going to do? All right, he's already rostered here, but Weaver will be back in a month here, and then the Yankees will have that decision to make here. And knowing the Yankees, by the way, in Cashman, he traded for Williams. I think Williams is going to be the closer again. So if you're a Luke Weaver guy, I think you're going to get screwed. He's done nothing to lose the job here, but I just think you're going to get screwed. I think they also may feel that Weaver can be a more than one inning guy. So he can go the 7th and the 8th, or part of the 7th and the 8th inning. So keep that in mind. I just got a funny feeling that if Williams is doing the job well over the next month, I think he's going to keep it, Matt.
You know, when we ask about how to monetize, I always find that teams that have those late inning questions, you start to look at the run line, you start to look at the total and see if you can't kind of play with that. All right, let's continue some pitching talk, and we'll go to the American League Central now. For the Minnesota Twins, sadly, Pablo Lopez expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks. I say sadly because I'm a big Pablo Lopez fan, but for the Twins, who are competitive in that division, Zebby Matthews, David Festa, now a part of a younger rotation. So, George, your thoughts on this?
Brutal, right? This is their ace. All right? I mean, he may not be a true ace, but it's their ace here. You know, top 15 pitcher in Major League Baseball here. So it's a brutal loss for the Minnesota Twins. And let's face it, 12 weeks puts you in September, which means you're probably not starting again. All right, you maybe even a mid-inning relief. They got to ramp him back up. Even if they make the playoffs here, I don't know if he's starting again this season for them. That being said, they have some depth. Ryan, Ober, you mentioned a guy that we're all interested there in Zelby. Chris Paddock has pitched well this year also here. But they're going to need to make a move here. And that's going to be, will they do that? You know, at the deadline here to get another pitcher, to get a good pitcher at that. You know, still have that guy here. Where's Alcantara going? Can he turn it around and be that guy again? If he can turn around and be that guy, he could be a huge difference maker here. But then again, he's pitched horribly this season so far. He's a guy on my team or two I'm thinking about moving on from, but I can't pull that trigger right now. But losing Lopez for the Twins, really tough break for them.
Yeah, and a great setup about talking about Sandy and Miami, because that brings us to our next headline is for Yuri Perez, about to make his season debut on Monday. God willing, we all live and be well for Miami. Max Meyer will go to the IL in a corresponding move. I believe that Perez and Edward Cabrera on any other team would be absolute money. Everyone's going to come calling for Sandy Alcantara. I think the Marlins have chips here. If Perez pitches well, he'll probably be on an innings limit. That's the only thing from a fantasy perspective, maybe a wagering perspective. You look at a first three, but your thoughts on this and the Marlins overall?
Yeah, you sort of hit it there, right? I have him once again on a team or two, including my home league. Obviously, he's on the IL, and I wish he was coming back in anything but a 2-start week because I want to start him. But you already said it. There's going to be an innings limit, probably a pitch count. They don't score runs anyway. Yeah, I know they scored 10 yesterday or 11, whatever it was here. That might be all the runs they score for the month. All right, that might be pretty much it for them. So, because 2-start weeks, you want to start him. I want to throw him in there. I do. You know, I like Yuri Perez. I think this kid could be something. But what are you hoping for this week? You got to bet the game right. You want to bet a first 3, first 5? Hey, go for it. All right, I don't mind that here. Although, once again, I don't know if Miami's going to score for you. It could be 0-0, 1-1. You know, but in fantasy, what are you hoping for? Now, your W's probably aren't coming. I don't think you're getting a quality start if you play quality starts because I don't think he's going 6. So what are you hoping for? Your ratios. If he's only going 3-4 innings, he's not going to strike out enough guys for you in that category either. So just be careful here about what you're going to do with Yuri Prince. But I do like the player, love the player. But you already brought up the point here. Even if he pitches well, could be a lot of low-scoring games where he's not getting you a W anyway.
You heard of the wisdom of Solomon. Today we bring you the wisdom of George. All right, with that said, let's stay in the National League, move to the National League Central, where the Cincinnati Reds, with Terry Francona at the helm, I had high hopes. They have a great roster, but Hunter Green goes on the 15-day IL strained groin. I think this pitching staff is all about Andrew Abbott and Nick Lodolo. Those are the anchors. Nick Martinez has been serviceable with a sub-4 ERA, but he'll probably get dealt as well. This is where the conversation starts. Do you think the Reds are buyers or sellers at this point?
I got an oi. That's because I'm losing money here because I do have a ticket on the Reds. I took them. I'm getting good plus money to win the division, so I took them to win that. To win the Central. It's not going to happen, right? The Cubs are too good here. I think I might have a ticket on them to make the playoffs as well. You're talking right. They're in 4th place, 8.5 out of first here. All right, they're not catching first. Can they get a wild card? Okay, you're in a little better spot for that. You're only 5 out. Do I think they're going to trade the deadline? Yeah, I do. I assume by the way things are going, you'll be 8 out by the deadline, and then you have to trade out here. So I think they will be sellers. I think if they can be status quo or better than 5, okay, then maybe they'll just stand pat. I just don't know if I see them being buyers. So that's my problem. I think they're going to be sellers here. They've got some pieces that would be good for people here. They've got some good offensive pieces that aren't hitting as well for them as they should be. Yeah. And if you get hit in that ballpark, what are you going to do in another ballpark? Right? Ain't much better than Great American Ballpark.
All right. And off of the laugh, we go to a break. When we come back, we'll straighten up our faces and look at the market watch and see how we can take advantage of some plus money plays when FST returns.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. My name is Matt Stryker. Joining me is the one and only George Kurtz. I want to give a shout out behind the glass to Sam Y, the true sports guy, and of course TD Jake on the ones and twos. Folks, what I have found in my life is independent of how smart you may think you are. If you surround yourself with people that know what they're doing, then everyone rises up. What is it? A rising tide lifts all boats, something to that effect. So you, my friend Sam, Jake, and George, you are the rising tide. So let's raise the boats of money here. Time for the Market Watch on FST. George, what we do here each and every week is we just watch how some of the Market Watch awards change. We try to find the plus money. Right now, we're going to dive into this great one that our buddy Joe Pisapia had found. Best regular season record. That's what we're going for here. We're going to lay this wager down. Currently, the Tigers and then the Mets have the most wins in baseball. I looked it up, and the Tigers do have the easiest rest of season strength of schedule. With that said, the Los Angeles Dodgers are at the top of the board here at minus 190. Then the Yankees at plus 550. There are your Tigers at plus 650. And then the Nye Mets at plus 1,100. George, in your estimation of what you've seen in over 3 decades of betting and playing fantasy sports, who's going to have the best regular season record this year?
All right, Dodgers, so many injuries for this team, right? They just can't escape it. Tony Gonsolin now is gone with the elbow. It's funny. Every starter you see from the Dodgers, probably not starting for them in the playoffs outside of Yamamoto. I don't even know if Clayton Kershaw gets to start the playoff game. Remember, they got Glass now. You got Snell that's on the IL. Maybe they make an addition too. Wouldn't shock if they go after Alcantara pretty hard here at the deadline here. So what I'm trying to tell you is I don't think they'll have the best record anymore. Just too many injuries here, and they don't care about the regular season. They just don't give a damn. All right, they're all playing for October. They want to get everybody healthy by October. Yankees, they're not good enough. Even in a watered-down American League, which is really what it is here, they're not good enough to have the best record here. They'll make the playoffs here, probably win the division, although I don't think that's a foregone conclusion either here. But I don't see them having the best record here. We'll see what moves they make at the deadline, and they will. We know they'll go for it here. Mets, love the way they're playing. And listen, Mets are, I'm not a Met fan here, so I'm not just saying it. They're a fun team to watch. They are. Yeah. All right, a lot of good young players here. You got the Soto drama as well, though he's starting to heat up there. Alonso having a monster season. Lindor, same thing here. Not worried about the broken toe. We saw he came back. Actually, we saw Friday night have the game-winning hit. Thank you, Francisco. That won me some money. Appreciate it. And had 3 hits last night for the Mets as well here. The 2 teams I want to talk about are 2 teams currently playing each other this weekend. Detroit, as you just said, easiest schedule. Love that pitching staff. They're hitting better than we thought here. And this is, well, I wouldn't call them a big market team. They have money, okay? They will spend at the deadline. They are going to improve that team. All right, so I kind of like the Detroit Tigers a bunch. And we're the Chicago Cubs. All right, they play in a watered-down National League Central here. It's a good team. And remember, it's another team that I expect to make a major addition at the deadline. They wanted Bregman. All right, they were after Bregman here. They didn't get him. They didn't replace him with somebody else on the roster. So they have money as well here, and I expect them to go for it as well. All right, they're playing out so well, by the way. Emanaj has been out for a month. All right, he should be back 2 to 3 weeks. We'll get him back in the lineup here. So for my money, from the board we're looking at, I'd put it on the Detroit Tigers. I think they are a legit team as far as winning having the most wins here. Chicago Cubs, though, in the National League, they be my favorite. I'm assuming they're more than plus 1,100.
Yeah. All right. I love it. And I'm with you, man. Looking for those good plus numbers, especially at the end of the season after the awards come out. It's kind of like a bonus, if you will. All right. You were mentioning the Mets, and it got our social media people thinking. And I want to thank everyone out there at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Keep the conversation going. Question coming in, George, for you is, will the Atlanta Braves make the playoffs? And for clarification, they're 9 games back of the wild card. If you don't think they will, it's going to cost you minus 215. But if you think there's a run in this team because of the names on there, it'll return plus 172. Your thoughts?
We had the same question on the Saturday show. I want to say a month ago. Well, probably when Acuna and Strider came back. And my answer has not changed. I said no then. I'm going to say no now. This team is just cursed. All right, so many injuries, they can't get by it here, right? You just lost another pitcher here. You've lost 2 starters. Acuna looks great, but Strider does not, right? He hasn't hit his stride. Look at that yet. So maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But You said it. It's not the 9 back that concerns me. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. At least 6 teams they got to climb over here. Not easy to do. And if you're 9 back, maybe you don't make a big addition at the deadline. I know they did this a few years back where they were, they weren't playing well. They were very far behind. They went for it anyway. I don't think they do that again here. Like I said, Profar is about the suspension here, all the injuries. I'm going to stick with my no. I said no a month ago. That certainly hasn't changed now. No.
All right. With that said, when we come back, get ready because George is going to lift his window and yell at the kids on his lawn. Get off my lawn. It's time to talk about the call-ups when FST returns.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name is Matt Stryker, joined on this special edition of FST by the one and only George Kurtz. Of course, you can catch George on a multitude of jobs here at this network, but as I like to watch George on Saturdays with Craig Mish, another guy that's just, it really says so much about this network and the hiring process. And whether they kick me out the door or not, I will always say that the right people work here, the right people, sports-loving people, but good people as well. And I think it starts young. That's one thing that SportsGrid does is they bring in a lot of young kids out of college. Of course, it's the internships. You'll work for free, won't you, kid? But they end up breeding into great young men. And I want to talk about the call-ups in Major League Baseball. George, they say let the kids play. You and I come from a time where when the young kids called up, it took them a long time to become acclimated to the game. Not the case these days. Let's talk with the most notable call-up this week of Jack Caglianone for the Kansas City Royals. Hitting sixth, you had alluded to in an earlier segment, not there yet, but had two of the hardest hit balls Friday versus the White Sox. They came off of his bat, albeit for outs. So he's there. He's squaring up balls. Your thoughts on the call-up of Caglianone and what it means for the Royals?
Yeah, this is not a surprise here, right? They want to get that offense going. Let's get a top prospect drafted last year. Probably a little quicker call-up than I might want to see. That being said, listen, I don't mind playing a person right out of college as long as he's ready. That's the only question. Is he ready there? They also changed his position. Let's not forget that. He's not an outfielder by trade. He's a first baseman, so they moved to the outfield. We'll see how that works out. Do I think he's going to hit? Yeah. All right, you mentioned the Friday night average velocity there. He also was crushing the ball in his debut against St. Louis, right? Just hasn't had luck so far here. So do I think he's going to be fine? Yeah, I do. I claimed him in a league or two, all right, and I started him in one. Probably not going to start him this week because I fully mentioned the one league I've started him in is because I didn't start Mookie Betts, but the broken toe. It's a weekly lineup league, and I didn't want to take a chance here. I am very risk averse in fantasy, especially if I think I have a decent replacement. And I thought with Caglianone, I had a decent replacement. Maybe not so much this week. Betts just looked fine, looked great. All right, the toe is not bothering him. So it is what it is there. But bottom line is I have no problem with Cags. I think he's going to be very good here. You're looking over a full season projection. If he was to play 150, probably 25 to 30 home runs here. Batting average good. Everything's productive for you. This year, I think he can still hit you 16 to 20 home runs over the rest of the season here. So, hey, if you need the power, go for it. Average might be a little shaky this year. Usually they are for rookies. Remember, even Mike Trout was sent back down in his rookie year.
Right. Yep. Great point. Fantastic point. I think overall it allows people to feel a bit more confident in wagering on the Royals, looking at team totals. Once Caglianone gets going here, Witt gets going, you can start to look at their production, hopefully increasing. All right, let's stay in the American League Central. And we mentioned the Pablo Lopez injury. If you missed it, 8 to 12 weeks on the IL for the Minnesota Twins starter. So here comes David Festa. In 4 starts, his strikeout to walk ratio is 21 to 7. So that alone is very intriguing when it comes to certain props. George, your thoughts on David Festa and young rookie pitchers overall?
Young rookie pitchers can be a little scary, right? Because we just don't know what you're going to get from them on a start-by-start basis here. You got the nerves there. Are they going to get the calls from the umpire? Some umpires, I don't care about what's going on. You're not going to get the benefit of a call as a rookie. You're just not. Right. Whether it's a rookie pitcher or a rookie batter, by the way. The strike zone shrinks or expands depending on how much service time you have, especially if you're going up against a veteran pitcher or veteran batter there. They get the benefit of the doubt. You don't here. That being said, we need guys, right? Even if we didn't have injuries, we always need guys. All right. I'm probably more interested in Paddock on Minnesota, who's available in quite a few leagues there. Festa would be the next choice. Bottom line is this. Do I see big things coming for you? Oh, this guy's going to win me my fantasy league? No, I don't see that. But do I think he could be serviceable, more than just a streamer? Yeah, I'll give you that. But he's going to be a guy I'm going to want to watch. Look who he's up against there, what teams he's up against there, and is he worth starting? Remember, Minnesota Twins, not the greatest lineup on the planet here. So he's against a team that can hit. Probably not going to get some W's there, so keep that in mind. But he's someone to keep an eye on at the very least.
All right, we're continuing with the call-ups with George Kurtz talking here on FST. Let's go to the Seattle Mariners. They were in first place for a minute. Now they find themselves, I believe, 3 games out looking up at the Houston Astros. But they did make a call-up of Cole Young, and this is one of those videos that I had alluded to in an earlier segment where I got to see him talking to his manager and then calling his family, and it's just so nice to see this kid. And then you see him go out in his debut and get a Fielder's Choice Guerby, if you remember that stat, a game-winning RBI. It was nice to see his teammates mob him as well. Bringing up a kid that unites a locker room like that, this is our kid, our guy. Could that mean something for the Mariners?
Cole Young, listen, he's not a power guy. So if you're looking for power, he's not the guy you want. He's a guy, when he's, being productive, average guy. All right, he's a guy who can help you with average here. Listen, we all need those kinds of guys, especially if you have guys by 220, 210 on your team, the Max Muncy types. So just keep that in mind. If you look at power, he's not the guy you want. Playing time should be interesting here with Seattle. We'll see what they're going to do. Is he going to play full time? They're going to move him around here, shortstop by trade. So we'll see how that works out here. Seattle, I think I always say this. I would like to see them make a move or two at the deadline because I think with that pitching staff, and yes, I'm still mad about Seattle from last night, okay? They screwed up my parlay. Mets, I had them with the Mets here, and of course they can't beat. How does Louis Castillo not beat Kachanowicz? All right, fine, got that off my chest. That just shouldn't happen there. But I do wonder if they'll make other additions, which could take him out. If he's not being productive right away, I just think they could make other additions that see him back at AAA. So that'd be my only worry there. But the most important thing with Young, if you're looking for power, look someplace else. He's an average guy.
Yeah, and with regards to the Mariners coming down the newswire, I understand that Julio Rodriguez suffered an ankle injury last night. We'll try to monitor that during the break and get you some more information. Continuing to talk about the young players, the call-ups, we move to the National League East for the Philadelphia Phillies. We talk about Nola being on the IL. We've talked about Luzardo struggling. So here comes Mick Abel, right? Now, you look at Sanchez, Suarez, and add in Abel, whose fastball sits, depending on how gassed up he is, 95 to 97, let's call it 96. Is that enough? Is that enough? Ranger Suarez, Christian Sanchez, and Mick Abel, is that enough for this Phillies team?
Just to give you the quick update on J-Rod, for those who didn't know that he was hit by a line drive while he was on third base, right above the ankle there. It looked terrible because he could not walk. But listen, you get hit by a line drive, it's going to hurt. X-rays did come back negative. He should be okay. He is considered day-to-day. It's Sunday. I don't expect him to play today. But I think, once again, Julio Rodriguez up, owners, I think you're okay. I think you could breathe a sigh of release there. You're okay. All right, Mick Abel. I love Mick Abel. Okay. Andrew Painter, too, for Philadelphia. They've got pitching up the wazoo here. I just don't know. I mean, when everyone's healthy, Wheeler's on the paternity list. He'll be back this week. Nola's still out. When he's back, Wheeler, Suarez, Luzardo, Sanchez, Nola. That's 5. Who are they taking out of the rotation? Who are they going to take out? Even if they want to go to a 6-man rotation every now and then, that leaves Abel out, leaves Painter out. Yes, we can argue all we want that Nola should be in the rotation. He's bad. But guess what? I don't think Philadelphia's going to make that change. I don't think. They're playing so poorly now that maybe a shakeup does have to happen here. Although the fact they're playing poorly, you can't blame that on Nola. He's not there. So I think something big is going to happen in Philadelphia. I just don't know what it's going to be. But Abel should be in the rotation. But if you're picking him up, you're hoping. You're hoping it's in the rotation. Oh, he sticks in the rotation is what I should say here. But yes, I love the player.
All right, we'll stay in the National League East here, and the New York Mets calling up Ronnie Mauricio. They have him currently at the bottom of the order, but Met fans should be encouraged. 39 at-bats at AAA Syracuse, a 5.58 slash line. Do not think he'll be able to repeat that. But if that's what's in this player, then the Mets maybe have found a way to lengthen their lineup, and that makes them even more dangerous. You know what else is dangerous? The one and only George Kurz. Over 3 decades of experience. When we come back, we're going to go by the numbers here on FST, and we're going to just find out how some of these statistical anomalies can turn into dollars in our pocket. Matt and George back on FST after this. And remember, there's more to this than you realize.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt Stryker with you here, excited for this program because we have the one and only George Kurtz with us. You can see George with Craig Mish normally on Saturday edition of FST, but I'm lucky enough to have George here on the Sunday edition. And what I like about it is George has a plethora of experience. He has a lot of wisdom, and he's able to kind of put things in perspective for young wagerers and young fantasy players out there. And I think it's just a great service by you, George. I know you don't do it intentionally, but you're doing it either way. It's time to go by the numbers now, and I want to talk about some statistical anomalies, things that have been standing out, and how we can capitalize on them. All right, let's go to Drew Rasmussen. Let's talk about the Tampa Rays overall, whether they're in it or not, and currently I do believe they have life in them. This is a team that always produces pitching. Whether they jettison the pitching or not, they always produce it. Drew Rasmussen is in that vein. 23 consecutive scoreless innings, pitching to a 2.14 ERA, a sub-9 whip over 63 innings. This is the first starting pitcher in American League history to have a 4-start span with a 4-0 record, no runs allowed, 10 or fewer hits allowed, 3 or fewer walks allowed. George, how do we make money off of this? And secondly, who are some of the greatest American League pitchers that you've seen?
Drew Rasmussen. I swear Sam is trying to tweak me. I've had this player on my fantasy team, my home league fantasy. Let's face it, my home league team is the only league I truly care about. Sure, I play in industry leagues with people, but you want to beat your friends, you want to beat your family, okay? That's the way it is. And I've had him on this team 2-3 times so far this year, but not during this current start stretch. Right? Not on my team now. So it's annoying. Frustrating. That being said, I am betting on him today against Miami, so there's that. We'll try and ride this little streak against the Miami Marlins today. So, listen, you already said it. Tampa Bay breeds pitching. It's what they do. All right, good young pitching here. They ride that. They move on from it when they can't pay it anymore here. So yeah, I like Drew Rasmussen. I like him a lot. You know, I think he's going to be that guy. Not the number one here, but a guy you can rely on. I think it just took a while here, Matt. Coming back from the injury last year, I think not everybody comes back and is great like that, right? We're seeing it with Strider, we're seeing it with Alcantara. It takes a while to get over injury here. So frustrating. It just frustrated me to all end that he's not still on my team. And I did try and reclaim him, but someone else beat me to the. I had a bit higher waiver wire prior than I did. Best pitchers I've seen. It took an all time here. I mean, I do go back to the 70s here. So Tom Seaver, I did see Seaver pitch
in the AL.
In the AL all time. I mean, Nolan Ryan was always fun because he was throwing no-hitters back then. 70s, 80s. That's why he was throwing no-hitters. He was coming at you with the fastball. Here it comes. Roger Clemens, of course, I saw. Back in the day, Randy Johnson. As far as the whole Clemens isn't in the Hall of Fame. Randy Johnson was also big there. Best Yankee starting pitcher, probably have to go Ron Guidry as far as going back to 70s.
And a little bit of trivia. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
Probably would be the Gator. Listen, I grew up with him. All right, so that 25-3 season with the 1.96 ERA, and the solo strikeouts they gave us the Angels. Watched that game. I was about 8 years old. I think I watched the game.
The origin of fans standing and clapping for 2 strikes. Now you see it all around the league. It started in Yankee Stadium for Ron Guidry in that season. All right, let's continue on here going in the numbers with George Kurtz. George, in fantasy and in wagering, the home run stolen base combination is a great way to go. You can find these props. You can find these 2020 guys are now back in favor, if you will. When you think about it, we want to find out what Pete Crow Armstrong is doing because he joins a list populated by Eric Davis, Bobby Bonds, and Bo Jackson as someone that is the fewest games to 15 home runs and 20 stolen bases. How do we make money off this?
Boy, man, we have stats for everything. The fewest, I mean, my God, you look at it, we can have a record for it. How do you make money off it? Well, you're betting on his props. right? Maybe you want to bet more on over a base and a half, right? Over the two plus bases every game here. That's how you're making money off it. In fantasy leagues, this is a league winner. This PCA is a league winner for you because you did not draft him that early. Maybe you saw things coming, you got him in round 7, but you didn't draft him early. You didn't spend a lot of salary, probably didn't spend a lot of your salary cap on him in an auction league. So he's been a fantastic player. Matt, we're talking, we assume Ohtani's going to be the MVP. He keeps doing this. I mean, I kind of believe that Ohtani might hit 60 home runs this year. I think Ohtani gets bored. I'm going to hit 60 this year. That sort of thing. So it wouldn't shock me in which case he'd win it no matter what PCA does. But if he only hits 52 home runs, and PCA keeps going bananas like this, it's hard not to vote for him for what he's doing here. Just been fantastic. Met fans have to be ripping out what's left of their hair in that Javi Baez trade.
All right, we're going to stay with the Cubs and talk about what Kyle Tucker has been doing. George, this is a great stat that Kyle Tucker is the only player in the live ball era, so that's since 1920, to record 60 hits, 40 walks, 25 extra base hits, and 15 stolen bases in less than 60 games with a single team. Tucker has done it in 57 games. Can this pace continue for the Chicago Cubs? Do you bet their totals? Do you link Tucker and PCA in some kind of nice little parlay to build your bankroll? Your thoughts?
I have no problem with any of that, right? Tucker is the legit real deal. All right. Listen, I know it's going to sound like blasphemy. He's a better player than Soto. Okay, Soto's a great hitter. Tucker's a great overall player. He can play the field. He can run the bases. I mean, I don't think he's going to get 765. He's a free agent at the end of the year, but he's going to make his new contract's going to start with a 6. Let's put it that way. And it may go higher. It's going to start with at least a 6. So good for him having a great year there. Hit that. Listen, that 1-2 punch with him and PCA is dynamite. It might be the new Soto Judge. Ohtani Betts, of course, is there as well there, but it's dynamic here. This is not a mirage here. Tucker is the real deal.
All right, and with that said, let's turn now finally to the Boston Red Sox. And I'm sorry, Boston Red Sox fans, they've lost 17 one-run games this season, third most runners left on base this season. As a wager, I'm telling you, those close games are the way to go, but the Red Sox need someone to knock these runs in. When we come back, we're going to take a deep dive on a generational pitcher, and he's so young when FST returns after this with more Matt and George.
Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent the message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face, and after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST. It's Fantasy Sports Today. Matt and George with you here. The one and only George Kurtz, a decades-long veteran of the fantasy and wagering wars. And we have him here to impart all of his wisdom. George, what we like to do here on FST Sundays is take a deep dive. So we'll look at a player, we'll look at some statistics, and then we'll try to figure out how we can make money off it. And you're the perfect guy with whom to have this conversation. Let's take the deep dive into Paul Skeens, and it's not as fun as it sounds. Last 5-game start, 34 2/3 innings pitched, a 38-7 strikeout to walk ratio, 4 earned runs. How many wins do you think he'd get here in his last 5-game start? With all that, I'm not going to set you up here. 0 wins. George, put a spin on this. How can I take advantage of this? At first threes, first fives with schemes, maybe run totals, but the Pirates, what are you doing? Go.
Well, I mean, Jason Stark of the Athletic wrote a great column just about what you're talking about here. They just can't win for the guy, right? They don't have much of an offense here. Outside of O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds, there's just not much there. And we knew that going into the season, by the way. This is not a shock. I know I've been bitching about this for a while here about Pittsburgh not making any upgrades to the offense with that pitching staff because this is going to affect Skeens, it's going to affect Keller, it's going to affect Jared Jones, where he had Tommy John surgery, and if and when Bubba Chandler ever gets called up, it's going to affect him too, right? The team can't score. It almost makes it, hey, in most fantasy leagues, you're 5 categories. Well, he's not getting any saves. Well, now he's not getting any Ws. You become a 3-category player. So you got to keep that in mind because I don't know if this changes all that much next year either. Keep in mind with that new CBA coming up, a lot of these teams are not incentivized to spend money here. So they might suck next year, and then you're going to get the lockout here. We'll see what happens in 27. So just keep that in mind here. Listen, we all love Skeens. He's a generational pitcher. He's fantastic, but we need wins. If you're in a quality start league, hey, you're fine. He's getting you that here. How do we attack this? I mean, the over-under today is 6.5 in this game. I think it probably still goes under here, but I'm probably going to bet the over just on principle. It's too low for me. It's Philadelphia. They're not hitting anyway, so I think he'll pitch great here. Does he hang around long enough to get that win? 2-1 win, 3-2. Pittsburgh has no outs, and they're facing a very good starting pitcher themselves. All right, and Sanchez goes today. So he's very good for Philadelphia. I do not expect many runs to be scored here. Even playing the first 5 is dangerous. I think Skeens will do his part, Matt. But, Sanchez does his part. We have no runs. You don't win. You just don't win here. So it's very tough to monotonize Skeens right now. Maybe play a strikeout over, but that's a high number, and you're going to pay for it. So it's very difficult to monetize Skeens right now. It's not easy.
Gotcha. No, we got you. I mean, but then you find yourself searching. Do I look at a total outs prop? Look, folks, when you find yourself searching and really struggling to make things fit, that's not the way to go. It's just not the way to go. I know you want to be in on the Skeens market, but with what's going on here, it's very volatile. And it's a fun thing, and he's a great pitcher in isolation. But if his team isn't giving him run support, this isn't the day and age of the 1-0 game anymore. And with that, George, do you remember that Jack Morris Game 7? He went, 10 innings? The game was 1-0. Do you have any memories of that?
Sure, I think it was 87 offhand when he had that game with Curry Puckett and all that. Absolutely, I did not like Jack Morris. He was a very good pitcher. When I say I did not like him, he just beat the Yankees all the time here. So he was just different era back then. That's when pitchers really were pitchers. They weren't throwers; they were pitchers. He wasn't throwing the ball. People have to remember when I grew up in baseball, 70s, 80s. You threw 91 to 93, 94. Wow, you threw hard. That was hard. You threw a really fastball. Nowadays it's completely different. 91 to 93, you're a soft thrower. All right, you're a soft tosser here. So different game back then. But yes, I remember Jack Morris very well.
Yeah, and then the reason I bring it up is because it's just not the time for that. So from the wagering perspective, maybe we just lay off Skeens, lay off the Pirates, and from a fantasy perspective, you've got to hold on to them. From an overall perspective here on FST, that brings hour 1 to a close. It's been a great conversation with the one and only George Kurtz, decades-long tenured fantasy player and wagerer. On the other side of the hour, we're going to talk more with George. We're going to loosen our ties, proverbially, of course. We're going to rile George up a little bit. We're going to poke the bear a little bit. We're going to have a lot of fun. Of course, our producer behind the glass, Sam Y, the sports guy, he's going to be having some fun too. Our technical director, if I'm looking, he's asleep, head down on the buttons. TD Jake will wake him up as well. We know you're not asleep because you are ready to make some money, and that's what we're going to do on the other side of the break. We're going to talk about how we pad our pockets. We're going to talk about how to wager in June. We're going to talk about how to attack the waiver wire. These are the things that the people around you are not thinking about, but you are. You want to know why? Because you're smart. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. We'll see you next.